Thanks for jumping on, guys, and being part of the conversation today. Ollie, I'm going to
All
say
right.
that you're the one that kind of inspired this conversation. You
Yeah, I
know,
shared the game with you, wasn't it? I was like, Tim, play this, please. And you were like, what is this amazing little game?
yeah. What addiction are you getting me hooked on here that I've now stuck with? I was already doing the LinkedIn games and the New York Times games, and now another round of
You
games.
needed one more,
Yeah,
clearly.
exactly.
More and more every day. You need to. It's funny because I shared it with my family back in Ireland, and I was like, "Does it work in Europe?" And it does, of course. But all my family are literally like sending me messages on Facebook going, "I got it wrong. I got it right. I couldn't get it right in
Love
try."
that.
So it's really like sparking like actually conversations with family members, which is really nice.
Yeah. It's kind of the Wordle moment where like you just show the boxes and you can just prove that you did it
Hmm.
in two or three or whatever. Sometimes one. I've never gotten it in one, but some people apparently get the first time. So, but yeah, thanks for joining us, Sam. It might be. Why don't you guys do a quick introduction of just both companies, and then let's show the game so that people get an understanding of what the entertainment value is, and then we can talk about the what put it together. How do you guys put it together? So, Sam, let's start with you.
Sounds good. Hi, I'm Sam. I'm the founder and CEO of the Game Band, and we're a video game company that makes really original, unusual games that people can play regardless of whether they've played games before. So we've made four different games so far. Dartwords is number four. Started with a game called Where Cards Fall. It was an Apple Arcade launch title back in the day. We had a game called Baseball that was like a horror take on fantasy baseball. We did a Knives Out party game with Netflix, and Ollie worked on that one as well. And here we are with Dartwords, which I'm really excited to show you today.
Yeah, that's great. And Ollie, go
Yeah.
for it. Everyone knows you, but introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
most people here know me, yeah, because they hear me waffling on. Yeah, I'm Ollie Keane. I'm a creative director and co-founder of ROXBOX Studios. We're a creative motion graphics company, specializing in interactive motion and anything that moves, basically. That's what we do.
I actually became familiar with you guys' partnership because Seamus made us play the Knives Out game over Christmas on Netflix. Um, a really fun game. I know that there's a lot of just creative and gamification that kind of went together between you guys. But is that your first kind of combo of both your talents put together in one game?
Yeah, it is. Ollie and I actually met when we both had offices at this co-working space in LA, and we just became friends and started hanging out. And I was a big fan of Ollie's work, just thought it was really amazing and impressive. And when we started working on the Knives Out game, I just felt like I knew he'd be able to elevate it to something that we couldn't even do ourselves. So I was grateful that he jumped on board to help.
So what is that, Sam? So you guys are the game creators. You're thinking of the concept and the idea, and then are you doing the like a muscle piece of it? You're putting the gamification elements together, and then Ollie, you're doing the animation design and kind of animation structure. Is that how the partnership works?
More
Yeah,
or
it's mainly
less, yeah. Well, go ahead, Ollie.
yeah, it's mainly like design wise. It's mainly handled on Sam's side with his designers and stuff. But it's great actually working with Sam because especially like we said, we met each other in a co-working space where someone told me that this guy works in games, and I was like, oh, I want to talk about games because I love games. And then I went over and I was like, hey, would you work in games? And then we just started chatting and we went for a Guinness and had a great time. But then we chatted further and like I could see what Sam's visions were with like some of these games and stuff. We had like really nice chats um and again normally Sam's team comes up with the artwork and stuff like that, and then we just breathe life into it with animation. So that's what we've been working with Sam.
That's cool. All right, so then should we show the game? Should we talk about the concept of the game? Where do you want to start in the show and tell process here, Sam?
I feel like let's show it because it's so much easier to talk about once everybody knows what it is.
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
You should be able to just share your screen and share the sound. Yeah, perfect.
Yep, can do. All right, so this is Dartwords, and what I would love to do is play it with all of you. So it's a word guessing game.
Well, okay, so
I
wait, hold on. If you
Yeah.
can play with all of us, nobody jump on and nobody start guessing. Everyone has to play in it together. Because I know right now, like Manny is already on there and he's already solved the problem.
Yeah, let's all do it together.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you can just drop in chat a word, and I'll pick from the crowd, and I'll show you how it works.
So literally any word.
Any word, yeah, you can start with anything you want.
And are we talking about any word in the English language, any word in all dictionaries? What's the limitation?
Anything.
Really?
No limitations, just your imagination.
All right, Lauda. I was gonna throw some out there.
Asylum.
Asylum.
We're
Okay.
starting with asylum.
That
Let's see where that goes.
Asylum.
So, when you guess a word, you see how close you are. So, unfortunately, asylum is not that close to our secret word. And Darty here is going to give you a clue based on what you guess. So, asylum, not the most tangible concept in the world. This is something more concrete. It's tangible. What should we guess next?
So I think Yahweh, is that how you pronounce that, Lauda? It's a Spanish word, so we're gonna see.
Well, I don't. We'll see if that's in our. Yeah, Spanish words wouldn't be in there, so just be English.
And so the idea is to move from asylum to something more tangible.
Exactly. Yeah. Plate. Okay, that's definitely more tangible than asylum. Let's see where that lands. Okay, still not that close, but larger than a plate. So as we're getting closer, you can click here, and this shows you all of your guesses so far and the clue that you got if you want to reference everything as you start to get a picture of what the answer might be. So more tangible than an asylum, larger than a plate.
All right. I don't see any everyone's fingers moving here. Somebody else throw another word out here. Come on, Manny. Throw something out here.
House.
House, yes.
House is, by the way, our most guessed word right now. Plucking.
Oh, what does plucking mean? So that would refer to something that you have to pluck, right?
Chicken?
Probably. A chicken.
Oh, Manny got his up.
Serenade.
Oh, we're getting
Banjo.
Oh, it's a harp.
Super close. Twangs. Drum set.
Well, that's not. We're gonna pluck a drum set. Oh yeah, let's do it.
Oh, we're going for it. Let's see. Oh, drum. Here, I'll do. Acoustic.
Yeah. Should we go to guitar? Or Manny put guitar?
Ooh.
Bullseye.
Hey, let's go.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Then you get to see the little story of how you got there and share that with your friends. So that's Dartwords. We do one puzzle a day, different secret word every single time we play.
That's great. Like I said, I want to buy like a 50 pack so I can try it multiple times in one day just to see how the game works.
Well noted.
Is there like a education level you're trying to hit with this thing? So there's degree of complication that you would work with, or does the game, it's the same game for everyone, right? So everyone, guitar is the word of the day and everyone gets guitar. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think we take a lot of inspiration from the New York Times games, which fluctuate a bit in difficulty, right? You have some days where it's kind of a gimme or pretty easy, and then some days where you really have to think harder about it. It's always fun too to like break patterns a bit. Like if we have a couple words that feel fairly similar, then introduce one that maybe it's not much harder, but it's like a different style of word or different category than the last couple that we did.
Okay, so let's talk about what brought this together, because clearly there's animation and design that you did, Ollie. So the character, what the character is doing, some of the splash marks and text, whatever. And I'm guessing what we're saying is this game would not be possible if it wasn't for an AI engine behind it, because of the number of possible guesses and the feedback that's necessary to say, something more tangible than asylum. There has to be a mechanism and an AI mechanism that creates that clue for us, right?
Yeah, that's right. So one of the things that we were just exploring in the studio is, well, now that this technology exists, what types of games can we make that were completely impossible to make before? And we all play the New York Times word games and such. I was thought back to like earlier days of playing word games, like in the car on road trips and such, where these were like very loose games that played with people's personalities and such, were less about like one possibility, right? What's interesting about Dartwords is we use AI to make the game, but there's no AI in the game. So there's no actual LLM at runtime. But every time we want to make any changes to how the game works, to our clues and such, we have our own system for this. We use local LLMs to basically iterate over the whole English dictionary and add data to the dictionary to make it better. It's 800,000 words or so that we are iterating through time and time again, which is the type of task that I would never want to ask somebody to do, right? It's perfectly suited for this type of technology.
And then, so Ollie, in the creation of the character and that those kind of features, because it's obviously responding to guesses, are those set responses, or are those also being based off of what the question is and what the um, answer is for each of the guesses?
Yeah, for animation, what we did was set up a system inside of Rive. That's what we use for the animation system, or for the program we use for the animation system. Um, we set up different states for different reactions. So, we'd have like, if something's bad, you'd have like, Darty doing like a bit of a head shake or something like that. Or if we kind of set them up with like how the darts are actually hit around the board. So if you hit like more near the center, you get like a kind of thumbs up of like, come on, you're almost there. And if you hit it on the outside, you're like, you're not doing good at all. So we set up like, all these different like states and like friendly like reactions that we can swap between depending on where you hit in the board. So it keeps the player very interested and keep the kind of cuteness of the character as well, to keep the game very friendly. It's funny because even when Sam reached out to us about, like, of course, we worked on Live Out, the Netflix game with Sam. I think I've been saying to Sam since that gig, or even the first time I met him, I was like, "Have you heard of Rive?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course I've heard of Rive." And I was like, "Would you want to use it?" And he was like, "We're like, yeah, we'll get there. We get." And I was like, really like, it's a great thing and stuff. And then when me and Sam sat down and like, looked at the opportunity of like where to, add it to, this was like the perfect project, because a lot of times as well, you see with people when they make like animated GIFs for, games and stuff like that, when you zoom in and stuff, the quality just goes away. And the thing that I've seen a lot as well with games like this, the transitions between, a character that is like dancing and then to the next transition of, say, someone that's like waving, there's like this weird in between where it's like cutting between and it doesn't look seamless. So Rive had this like in between system that we could play with, that we can figure out the perfect amount of time between this transition so it looks natural in the game.
So is that what's making the impossible possible now, is Rive, or what are the connecting tissues that are now, if you had to do it in a traditional way without AI, you would have never been able to accomplish it?
I think it's a mix.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a game design space that we couldn't have explored before without AI, because the possibility space was just too wide and it feels more conversational. And then Rive, I think we're able to hit a level of performance and fidelity on the web that we couldn't have done before. We really wanted this game to feel charming and have a lot of character, and we just didn't have anything really that was able to get to that level that we were hoping for.
What was the old problem that you could not have solved before? Is it just too unpredictable, the number of words, and then the need to respond, or what was the impossible nature?
It's exactly that. Yeah, when you're making a word game, this game in particular, there's so many possibilities, right? So without this technology, if you guessed keyboard and the secret was elephant, how would we know how to compare those two things? There's just too many ways that this could go. And what the technologies let us do is go through a massive amount of data. It's so good at synthesizing a massive amount of data and make changes based on it. So a lot of our design work on Dartwords is like, it's more about like the patterns that link puzzles versus like an individual puzzle, where if we go, okay, like we want to be able to compare words by size. We want to be able to compare words by temperature. Well, if we're going to do that, like how should that feel? And what types of data do we need to know? What types of information do we need to know about every single word to be able to give you a comparison that feels really good and responsive to you?
Yeah. So a word like asylum, and you're talking about something that's tangible, it needs to
Mm-hmm.
understand what asylum is, understand what,
Yes.
what a house is in comparison to that or whatever, kind of just be able to, a house is a tangible object, it's too big or too small. And each of those
Mm-hmm.
descriptive words is where the language model has to fill in the gaps. So
Exactly. We play test all the time, and we found what we felt like a good puzzle progression for most players, which started off pretty broad, right? Like broader categories, and then getting more specific as it went along. So we thought about like, okay, what categories would we want for those first guesses to be? Well, if you guess something that is intangible, we want to tell you it's tangible. If you guess something that is natural but it's man-made, we want to tell you that it's man-made. But then once we defined what those categories were, we needed to have our system understand, does every word fit into these categories? How do they fit into the categories? If we're comparing the size between two, well, what's the size of an elephant versus the size of a pebble? Like all that information it needed to have to make the game work at all.
yeah, it feels like the algorithms of 20 questions in a way, where like, is it living,
Yeah.
not living, or whatever, those big ones, and then you get more and more finite. And then the closer you get to something that's there, the hot and cold items of it are getting us to that dartboard. It does feel like a game that my brothers and I played in the back of the car.
That's
This is
awesome.
before your time, Ed, but before you were born, there were not televisions baked into people's cars, and we had to play a game. So I have to tell Ed that kind of stuff. He's a little bit younger than the rest of us here. No, I'm just kidding. There are like, but you just like, there's a gamification we all kind of know, and naturally, no instruction needed. I can type something immediately, understand how the game was played. By just the first dart that hit the dartboard, I was like, oh, I get what's going on. It's literally trying to guess any game possible. Yeah. So what about the pieces now? So talk about the how you guys stack the technology so that you are taking the impossible, making it possible, and then finally making it to the final game that we're playing. And then what comes next? Like, how do you advance it from this point on?
Do you want to talk about Rive, Sam, or do you want to talk about the LLM stuff?
I think you're the Rive guy. I feel like you should
Yeah,
talk about that, and
I'll
I'll
jump
handle
in
the
there.
LLM stuff. Yeah.
Cool. I'll just jump in. I'm just going to share my screen really quickly as well. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So just to show you guys like a small bit about like where Darty came from as well, in terms of like thinking. And Sam, you can stop me on this as well. We are talking about Clippy from the beginning. So like Sam came to, us with the idea of the game, and it was very bare bones at the time. Remember, Sam, there was no Darty actually at the beginning, wasn't there? It was
Yeah.
just like, the broader game. And Sam and his art team, they're amazing, and we love them. We've worked with them for a couple of years now. Came up with Darty, like this singular image at the time. And I looked at this, and this is normally what I do with any job like we're on, is like do a motion audit of a whole game of like what we can do with this. And for me, the first thing I thought about, of course, with Sam, when me and Sam were talking, was Clippy, of course. Clippy back in the day, the old Microsoft, it was a Word back in the time Sam was. But yeah, it was, there's Clippy. But also when I saw it, I was like, this reminds me of Miss Minutes from Loki, TV show, in terms of like the character and stuff like that. So I sent Sam this reference, and as you can see, Sam was like perfect reference like right off the bat, and we were like, okay, this is a good jumping off point. So we jumped into thinking about what reactions Darty could have. Like I said on the dartboard of like, we need a list. So we need to come up with a list of all these different types of animation, and we came up with like a bullet point list of, we need to do all these different animations and have them ready, but they have to link, really well. Like what's really nice about, with Dartwords, like even at the beginning, if we load this, all this stuff is done inside of Rive. You can actually give one file. I actually have the preview file, so I'm trying to move this thing out of the way. The preview file is just actually this. So you actually can animate something inside of Rive, the preview file, and send it to, say, Sam, and go, Sam, do you like to look at this? And he goes, okay, cool, we're done. Let's implement it, get it done. There's no like back and forward of like, back in the day, what you used to do with video files is you give a prototype of a flat video file, and then that's it. And you're like, this is what it could look like. And then someone will have to go build it like a developer. What's really nice now with Rive is you can actually send this to someone, and it's actually usable. You can actually play with it and actually get the feeling. And that's how we worked with Sam. Of like, we'd send, like, for instance, the user flow of the game. This is kind of an older one, but like we can show a small bit of it. This would be the flow that we did inside of Rive the whole game. And then like, no, this is an older one where you were in like, all the stuff. These are all old animations because we changed it up since, but we could get a flow of how the game would work without any coding, first. So we could be like, this is how the whole game is going to play. This is how it'll work. And then Sam could give us feedback and would like, instead of rendering out new files, we could just jump back into Rive, change it up, and then have it there. But we set up like I said, this is the game right now. We set up different timelines where we have like this is the thinking version of Darty, and when you click, it has like a little like no, don't tap me, but it's a separate timeline how it works. And basically, anytime if we say car, every time we hit something, it has a different reaction, like right here. But we set that up inside of Rive. So I'd say Rive really quickly.
Reactions, right? It's basically, and it's not random reactions, I'm guessing. Are they specific reactions to certain kind of misses, or are they kind of?
Yeah, specific ones. So every one we have, say for instance, I won't go too deep into it, but like say this is like a nervous reaction if you're not like getting anywhere. So this is like a nervous one. And we have like wave. We did like all the different states. You can see here there's a list of states down here. And it's really nice because what you can do is you go back to the state machine right here. Where is my number? Oh, right here. Is it this one? Oh, I can't do it right now. Okay, I can't do it live. But yeah, basically you can swap between them pretty much. But it works really nice and it's really intuitive. And you can just basically have how I describe Rive as well. It's kind of like After Effects and Figma if they were combined together with a state machine, almost like inside of a game engine. You can basically link timelines, so you can have a looping idle with a tap one shot that's not a loop, and then another one that's like a typing animation when you start to type. You can basically, I can see the type right here. Yeah, you just link them up, and then you can output them, and then you can give them to the development team, and they can link them up, and then it just ends up working.
So does the dev team, like, is that where it hands off to you, Sam? Like your dev team, Rive, and I don't even know how you build a game engine to plug into Rive, but is it pretty intuitive from that point on? Or is there a translator needed between what you guys are doing and what Ollie does in the animation?
Yeah, that's one of the beauties of Rive is that it's pretty one-to-one. Ollie hands it to us and then we put it in the game. We're using a web stack for Dartwords, so Rive works really well with web stacks. They have integrations with a number of game engines and such too.
So if you guys like can project now, because you know that Rive exists, and this seems like a pretty beginner kind of process that you guys are putting yourself through, first game that you're doing something on or whatever, what's now possible that you, and like a future casting where this might be going, like what's now possible that wasn't before that could lead in other directions if it comes to entertainment or games or any advertisement, anything along those lines that you can see this combination working?
Oh, there's so many things. I think what we're most interested in as a studio is what types of gameplay is possible now that wasn't before. I think a lot about, like I used to do improv, and improv is all taught through games, right? It's taught through like wordplay and bringing your personality in, but the games require a moderator. They require you to be able to kind of build off of what each other is saying, and it's the type of stuff that doesn't really work with button presses. We never could make those types of games digitally before, but now you can. You can make things that are at least inspired by that whole category of play that we could never translate before into anything interactive. So that's what's really exciting to us right now. Like, I think Dartwords is like one small step in that direction, and there's plenty of other types of games that we're playing with too.
And is it always games, or are you seeing this as like just an interactive quality that can be used in any space or for any reason?
And we are a game studio, so we're pretty obsessed with games, but I think there's all sorts of things for sure. There's the like creative side of like what can we make before that, what types of play can we make that we couldn't have made. And then there's also just how we work, which is probably the space that's more transferable. We were able to, I think, go from idea to let's put something in our hands and try it at a much faster rate. And the part of that I am particularly excited about is I've got folks who've been working with me for a long time who maybe worked in like a particular specialization before, like artists and such, who have great game ideas, but never were able to show them to me and to actually play them and see them out. And now they can take, a few hours, and obviously it's nothing that we would ship, but it's something that is like the seed of something that we can have a conversation about. And I think that's very empowering, right? And very exciting, to just let more people's voices be heard and see what ideas we would have left on the table before.
Yeah, right. How about you, Ollie? What are you kind of seeing now that you've been inside of Rive and understand the interactive qualities of it? Are you seeing more potential when it comes to just basic entertainment creation? Are there things that people could tell a story and then based off of interaction from the audience could get a story growing?
Yeah, I think like for me, right, and that's why have been not pushing it, but like I want to really explore it is because because I used to, work as a freelancer before I started ROXBOX, and I used to work in production studios that were doing like UI animation for big movies, that were doing like, the fake UI stuff that you'd like click and you'd see it like almost like the Spider-Man graphics and so on. And I kind of used to get really frustrated working in the companies because you'd make a flat file and then you'd superimpose it into green screen, and then you're like, oh, no one's using this. So now I can literally build something that's usable, and someone can actually play with it. And like even future, I can see this like being great for like advertisements and like, out of home, like if you're in a mall and you've got interactive maps, I can almost see like interactive advertisement. You can touch and play with them and stuff like that. And this idea came in my brain when I was back in Ireland like 15 years ago with my niece, because she walked up to a big TV that was playing a movie and she just started like touching it like she thought it was an iPad. And then in my brain, I was like, there has to be something that would solve this problem because people are looking for interactivity. And with that, I kind of started digging around in terms of like what's possible. And like in 2018, Rive actually was called Flare back in 2018. It was a different name. And then in 2019, Rive rebranded to Rive. So it was Flare first. And then so I was using it back in 2018 as this thing that I was like, what is this thing? I'm really interested. I really want to dig into it and stuff like that. And then of course, like, almost, 10 years later, it's every version of it. I met the Rive guys in San Francisco, very nice people. But they're actually like, they have a lot of motion designers working for them, making these tools, and which is really nice because even the shortcuts inside of Rive are the same shortcuts as in After Effects. So it's like it's built by motion designers in a way, so it's actually very intuitive because you don't really need to learn a lot of things like the shortcuts that can be the worst. So it's actually really nice to use. The only thing I will say about Rive is like you do need to have the right people to work with, like Sam, like you need a great development team, because what happens when you animate something, you need someone to be able to actually like put it together and like ship it and stuff like that. So great animation tool, but also pick your use case for it too. Like I see a lot of people using Rive right now and like, oh, I animated something, like, but what happens next? Like how,
Well,
what's this going to be for?
I can almost hear you saying like you're using this or could use this in a pre-visualization sense where you don't have to do visual effects for a film anymore. You can just build a Rive animation file, and there might be set because it's scripted set things that you would do on set or in a screen or whatever. So, but the animation would work and it can be actually be interactive than having to build somebody on a green screen and later on composite them and the animation and their Jarvis interface or whatever they're doing. It sounds to me like advancement there, just in the
Yeah.
space.
And I think that's what, even with this project, sending Sam files when we were in the same office as well. I know I come over to his like office and we're next to each other. Seeing Sam use it as well in front of you is very rewarding because then you can understand what needs to change. Do you know what I mean? Like if there is, because you're getting actually live feedback, because sometimes that divide can be very tricky.
Well, it also there seemed to be a huge wave when the iPhone games kind of hit a moment where games were becoming stories and you were taking your character on a journey, and those journeys might have obstacles or what have you, but you were playing from a beginning, middle, and end of a storyline. And now, from what you're saying, is that Rive is actually working from the animation point of view, where the story can become interactive instead of the interactive thing being a story, and we can kind of the other way. So whatever creative talent you have, you can get there. It does seem very relevant to a commercial space as well. Anything that's interactive, you'll get more time, more usage out of it, and commercial is all about just stealing people's seconds. And every moment of distraction you can put before somebody is a moment you can get paid for by.
Yeah, and also what I really like about Rive as something is like you can output multiple outputs. Like for instance, if for like output for web like we're doing right now, you can also output it in so many different formats. It's insane. I've actually never seen something like this that can output to so many things. So if you animate it once, animates one asset, even Sam, we're helping Sam with some social stuff. All those animations, you can literally just bring in output as PNG sequences, use them in After Effects as like for other stuff too. So the one asset you animated has like literally like endless possibilities because you can use it everywhere. So it's yeah, it's very intuitive that way.
Got sponsorship from Rive today for this.
I know, dude, they could call me. I know I should wear my Rive t-shirt.
I should give them a
I
call.
don't work for I don't work for Rive, I promise.
I'll say one thing about it, even though I know like 1% of what Ollie knows about Rive, but one of our goals for Dartwords is because we're launching on the web first, we wanted it to feel really fast, or like it needed to load like basically instantly. That's what you expect from websites. And if you've played a lot of web games before, like a lot of web games have a long loading bar. So, before they even start, which to us was just non-negotiable. Like, we couldn't have that. So, Rive, because it is so performant, we were able to still get like the fidelity and the character, the charm that we wanted, and still have a game that loads as soon as you get up to the web page.
That's amazing. I think that's why you're getting closer to the commercial space, because no one's going to wait around for a commercial to load. And if Rive has that kind of instant load time, then you can actually put something in front of somebody, make it interactive, make it branded, and do that. Hey, John G is asking Ollie, Rive versus Protopi? I don't know how to pronounce that thing, for a film set screen playback. Do you have any thoughts? Are you familiar with the two softwares or how to do that? Protopi, sorry.
Protopi. I actually don't know what I don't know what Protopi is. Maybe it's something I need to, brush up on. Can you explain what that is?
Jump in. Unmute yourself and tell us what this is.
Hey Oliver, how you doing?
Not too bad. I'm not Irish lad, geez.
Good, good, yeah. It is Cork, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah, straight away. You're definitely a dub.
Yeah, Protopi it's for mocking up interfaces, and we'd use it a fair bit for film set interactive devices, where we want to have various states of action and looping sequences for actors, so that we're basically mimicking what the interface should be in reality. But I was just wondering, would Rive have that kind of interactivity where you can have like loaded onto a phone as if it is a phone, and have it triggered by Bluetooth?
Actually like usable and actually on set. Yeah, because that's the best thing about it. It's like, for instance, like when me and Sam were working in the same workspace, I always used to have my eye looking for Sam walking past, and he's like going like to the kitchen or something. I'm like, oh, Sam's there, great. I can just run out and show him. And I grab my phone and have it like loaded up and go, Sam, look at this. Come here, make a decision. And then like, and we'd look at it together and we actually play, really quickly, or like, oh, do you like this button tap and stuff like that? But that goes sure right there. We're getting live feedback, next to each other. But yeah, you could use it on set for sure. But one thing I will say about Rive is like Rive's not a 3D program. Rive is a vector-based 2D platform right now. But in the future, chatting to them and like all the stuff that they're doing, they're actually trying to import in 3D stuff right now. And actually they have like an AI agent in it as well. It's really cool. That I can name it. But I could talk about it all day. But yeah, to answer your question, it can be live.
Cool. I must dig into it. Thanks for that.
No worries.
And then Seth has a question for you. How do you handle those edge cases where something might have multiple meanings? So I'm guessing that's probably on the LLM side of them.
Yeah, that's a great question. So a good example of this is we had a word the other day, bottle, And when we were playtesting that puzzle, a lot of people would guess the word can. And we found that it was interpreting it as the particle can, right? Like I can do something versus I can. So what we do, I mean, obviously we test a lot to identify those cases, and then we pick the like hero meaning. Like what is our like the meaning that we are going to honor? So one of the pieces of data that we train the whole dictionary on is what is the like standard meaning that we are going to go with. Because otherwise, if you are trying to honor more than one at once, it just gets mushy and kind of confusing for the player.
Does that mean you just like you filter out one of the other meanings you don't want? You just choose one hero meaning and that's the only time we're going to do it? Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Good to see you, Jordan. Well, this is great. Any other questions? Anybody else have any references or experience in the same space or would like to and want to have more questions for these guys? For me, it's just so fascinating because it's almost like the moment we've been waiting for in the evolution of what the web space was going to be, and kind of like the junky filler stuff that's been going along. No offense to anybody that's done junky filler stuff, but like we've been waiting for the actual interactive element of it. And I keep coming back to like, we actually wanted Siri to work, like be able to have a dialogue with Siri and do something. But now we have more and more opportunities to create this interactive element because of the AI brain behind it. And that AI brain can have more reason, more thought, and give us more accurate results. So I love that, as well as the exploration elements that we're capable of doing here. Yeah. Okay, Seth is asking, do you use your LLM with Rive or just use the assets?
You doing anything, Ali, on the creation side with the LLM? Yeah, I
No,
think most.
yeah. For us, like all this stuff, because of course the artwork
Yeah,
is all done by or is hand done by Sam's team, and that's one thing to flag as well with this game as well is like it's all still hand done. Like all the artwork. The only thing that's actually LLM based, and Sam, you can correct me on this, is actually the hints itself. But
that's
everything
right.
else is,
Yep.
is actually
Well,
all
even the
hand.
hints are not quite LLM
Oh yeah,
based
there you go.
because it's our own system that we use an LLM to iterate on. Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, all the like animation and stuff, even like you see all the keyframes in there we have inside of Rive. But one thing I will say about speed as well, just for using Rive, and this is not me promoting Rive, but like is just the changes. Like if there is a change, like for instance, like me and Sam were working on it, and there was tonal changes on Darty, like changing the color and stuff. What was really nice, we were able to hook it up in a way that like if you do one change, it changes throughout the whole animation sequence. So if there's hundreds of animation states and there's some things to come, Sam, in the way. I don't want to give anything away, but like if we want to change the look of Darty or something like that, it's like we have things set up where we can actually have tabs where we don't have to reanimate Darty. We can literally have tabs ready to like set it up. So it's a really like the pipeline that we set up inside of Rive for this game is something that like I'm really proud of, because when it's like a canvas, a painting, like you actually, when you step away from it and look at what's actually there, the system itself works so well for what we're doing, that I'm really happy that we set it up that way, because in the future going, we can change things quickly, we can output stuff. It was really nicely set up from the start.
Yeah, it sounds like the time you're saving by using a better tool allows you to make more elaborate program files that makes it even easier in the future. So the future building feature part of it is really great. Laura's asking the cost basis. Are you guys, and Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but no one's sponsoring this yet, right? So it's somewhat self-funded. And she's
Yep,
kind of
it
questioning the cost of AI in time, and how does this experience of like on the cost basis, does it cost more sometimes than others, and how do you kind of understand and manage that?
So this is one of the main reasons that we are using local models to train our system. When I say local model, I mean the AI models that we're primarily using to iterate for the dictionary and make our clue engine better are running on a device that's on my desk. So they're not in the cloud, they're here. Now, if we were to say, and we in our original prototypes of Dartwords, and we just wanted to see if the concept was interesting and worth exploring, and we had an LLM that was in the game that would serve the clues. And there's two problems with that. One is the quality was extremely variable, right? Like LLMs there's only so much you can do to get something that you feel like is good and is something that you would be proud to, put in front of players. So we felt like it wasn't getting to the level of quality that we'd expect. We wanted to do something more hand authored. The other part of it is that if the LM was in the game, then we would be paying any single time we needed to serve you a clue. So that was another one of the motivations for using local models, that we have, it's like a one-time fixed cost to buy the computer, right? And then we can run it as much as we want to make our system better.
That's cool. What is the business case for this? Are you guys planning on doing something, get advertising, sponsorship, or is this a proof of something that evolves into some other business models?
Yeah, so the web launch is very much kind of akin to like an early access launch in video games, where we wanted to put out the MVP of the game and learn from it and see how people are playing with it, what they like, what they don't like, where we should improve. Of course, we are planning to bring it to other platforms soon. And when it's on other platforms, we will have more things that you can spend your money on. I'm not ready to tell you exactly what just yet, but there'll be things that you can spend on. I think based on what people are asking for in the game, what you were asking for, Tim, as well, I think you'll be pretty happy with what we're going with.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, very fun. I mean, good for you guys. What I also can appreciate, and we haven't really said it yet, is that you guys made something from nothing in a way. You know, Sam, you and your team are doing concepting. You created it on your own accord. It's basically something, an idea you own, a concept you own, and then your combination of efforts have made something that, like, literally no outside universe is part of it. Where you also know, because you work with Netflix, that you can and have to also deliver to other people. So these moments when we can do something and own it, and something like Rive and AI models giving us access to things that we could not have done before ourselves, is pretty exciting. I think that's the evolution that we're all somewhat interested in, is making something from nothing without a whole bunch of other people having to get their hands in it or have to pay them. So
yeah, and I think just on that, then just like the prototype side of it as well, like the fast prototype stuff Sam was speaking about. Even for us as a studio, we trying things quickly and seeing if they stick in a way, because as we know in production world, someone could spend a week on one button animation, as we could actually try out a few different ones, send them over to Sam, have like a tile of like different buttons. You can try them out. Which one do you like? Make the decision onto the next. It's just like the flow of it is like really nice, because you can make these decisions quicker. And it's not actually particularly AI that's doing that. It's just actually the program, where it's like we can set it up in a way where we can show things fast and quick and just get on to the next, which I'm really excited about, because sometimes those decisions could take a long time to get signed off. So I can see, things like this for Rive, or like even someone said about the business use case of it. And I think it'll actually be really good for speeding up decisions for everybody, and that's not like taking away time from people, making money or anything. That it's more so about, getting the creative done faster together, and making those like critical decisions when you need to.
that's great. I love that. In a lot of ways, just the permission granted to kind of explore and do brand new things is such a fun moment to be in, because we're able to do that. So, well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you volunteering and throwing yourselves at this thing and be willing to jump on this conversation. I think there's so much to learn, and hopefully this is just inspiring people to get their hands dirty, either with the software or even the ideas, and explore more. So appreciate you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
thanks, Tim.
And for the rest of you guys, it's great to see you again. We'll see you next week on the weekly briefing. I'll do a slight plug here. There's more to come on this AI front. I've been exploring a lot and kind of talking a lot of influencers and decision makers on the AI side. So kind of keep your eyes open for the next few weeks as we roll out some ideas. And we're putting together a possibility of doing some workshops, so that some of these ideas and concepts we're learning, we can actually sit together for a few hours and build some things, and get your hands dirty if you're interested. So we're working on that for the next month or so. But in the meantime, we'll see you on the weekly briefing, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thanks, guys. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Guys.